The air crackled with excitement. My daughter Lily was getting married. Weeks of planning, baking, and decorating led to this moment. The house buzzed with activity. My best friend Fiona bustled around adjusting flowers. I took a deep breath, trying to savor every second. This was a day for dreams to come true. Lily looked radiant in her wedding dress. Her fiancé Tom was a lucky man. He was kind, funny, and adored Lily. I couldn't have asked for a better match for my daughter. My heart swelled with pride. Everything was perfect, or so I thought. The ceremony was being held in our garden. It was Lily's favorite place in the world. We'd strung fairy lights across the trees. They twinkled in the afternoon sun. Guests started to arrive, their faces filled with joy and anticipation. Everything was going according to plan. The garden was bathed in sunshine. Birds sang in the trees. It was as if nature itself was celebrating with us. Family and friends gathered, their faces alight with happiness. My son, James, was best man. He looked so handsome in his suit. He winked at me, a mischievous glint in his eye. Then I saw Tom. He stood at the end of the aisle, looking nervous but happy. He was surrounded by his family who had flown in from Australia. His eyes met mine and he gave me a small, grateful smile. I knew then that Lily was in good hands. The music started. It was time. My heart beat a little faster. I took Lily's arm and we began our walk down the aisle. Lily held onto my arm, her hand trembling slightly. "Are you all right, darling?" I whispered, squeezing her hand reassuringly. She nodded, her eyes shining with a mixture of nerves and excitement. The garden was silent, except for the gentle melody playing softly in the background. As we walked, I saw the love and happiness reflected in the faces of our guests. They smiled and whispered congratulations. But it was Tom's face that held my gaze. He looked at Lily with such love and adoration. It was a beautiful moment, one I would treasure forever. We reached the end of the aisle, and I handed Lily over to Tom. He took her hand, his eyes never leaving hers. The ceremony was about to begin. The registrar smiled, ready to begin. But just as he opened his mouth, a voice rang out from the back of the garden. It was a man's voice, deep and resonant, yet unfamiliar. Everyone turned to look, searching for the source of the interruption. A hush fell over the assembled guests. The man walked through the crowd, his eyes fixed on Lily. He was tall and distinguished-looking, with silver hair and a kind face. Lily gasped, her eyes widening in disbelief. "Dad," she whispered, her voice barely audible. My own heart skipped a beat. I recognized the man instantly. It was Lily's father, David, who had left when she was just a baby. We hadn't seen him in over 20 years. What was he doing here? Gasps and whispers rippled through the garden. Guests exchanged confused and surprised glances. No one could believe their eyes. David, after all these years, had reappeared on Lily's wedding day. It was the most unexpected twist imaginable. Lily stood frozen, her bouquet trembling in her hands. Tom put a comforting arm around her, his face etched with concern. My mind raced, trying to process this sudden turn of events. Questions swirled in my head. Why was David here? How did he even know about the wedding? David reached the front of the aisle and stopped before Lily. His eyes, filled with a mixture of emotions, met hers. The silence stretched, thick with anticipation. Finally, he spoke, his voice filled with regret. "Lily, I know I have no right to be here, but I had to see you on your special day." Lily's eyes welled up. Tears streamed down her face. David reached out and gently wiped them away. "I'm so sorry for everything, Lily," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I was young and foolish, and I made the biggest mistake of my life leaving you and your mother." He explained that he had seen Lily's wedding announcement in a local newspaper. He had been living abroad trying to rebuild his life, but he couldn't stay away any longer. He had to see his daughter, to tell her how sorry he was. Lily listened intently, her expression softening. It was clear she was struggling with a torrent of emotions. Forgiveness, anger, confusion. They all played across her face. But one thing was certain, she was listening. The atmosphere in the garden shifted. The initial shock gave way to a strange mix of tears and laughter. Some guests wiped away tears, touched by David's heartfelt apology. Others couldn't help but chuckle at the sheer audacity of his arrival. Life, it seemed, was full of surprises. Lily took a deep breath and spoke, her voice trembling slightly. "Dad, I don't know what to say." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "I've always wondered about you. I've imagined this moment so many times." David nodded, his eyes filled with understanding. "I know, sweetheart, and I don't expect your forgiveness, but I needed you to know how sorry I am." What happened next was truly magical. Lily, her heart overflowing with emotion, stepped forward and embraced her father. It was a hug that spoke volumes, a silent reconciliation after years of separation. Tears flowed freely as father and daughter held each other tight. Tom, ever the gentleman, put a comforting arm around Lily. He even offered David a handshake, which was graciously accepted. The tension in the air dissipated, replaced by a sense of relief and even joy. The wedding ceremony, momentarily forgotten, had transformed into something far more profound, a reunion of hearts. The guests, caught up in the emotion of the moment, erupted in applause. It was a spontaneous outpouring of support and goodwill. Even Fiona, who had a healthy skepticism about men in general, had tears in her eyes. The registrar, after clearing his throat and adjusting his papers, resumed the ceremony. But the atmosphere had changed. What had been a joyous occasion became even more special. It was now a celebration of forgiveness, second chances, and the enduring power of family. Lily, her eyes sparkling with tears and laughter, exchanged vows with Tom. When they were pronounced husband and wife, the cheers were louder than ever, and when Lily danced with her father, it wasn't just a dance. It was a promise to rebuild their relationship. The day, which had begun with such high expectations, had become something truly extraordinary. It was a reminder that life is full of surprises, and sometimes those surprises turn out to be the most precious gifts of all. Lily's wedding, forever etched in our memories, was a testament to the power of love, forgiveness, and the unbreakable bonds of family. It was a day we would never forget.